He wasn't counting people. He was measuring power, strength, security, control. And in that moment, a number replaced trust. A cold, hard calculation replaced the warmth of faith. This is the story of David's fatal mistake. A moment where the king who defeated giants fell to the giant of his own pride. A lesson carved in the history of a nation. David was not a weak leader. He had victories that stretched across the horizon, from the valleys of Elah to the gates of Jerusalem. Influence that commanded respect from every corner of the known world. A united kingdom that stood as a testament to God's favor. For decades, he had navigated the storms of war and the trials of the wilderness. He was a man after God's own heart. But something shifted. Not outside, in the ranks of his enemies or the walls of his cities. Inside, in the quiet, dusty chambers of his own heart, where pride began to take root in the shadows. The temptation wasn't gold or territory. It was the lure of certainty. The desire to see his legacy not in the hand of God, but in cold, hard, undeniable numbers. He ordered a census, a full count of fighting men. On the surface, it looked strategic, responsible, even wise for a king responsible for the defense of a growing nation. A leader needs to know his strength, right? To know the depth of his reserves and the reach of his influence. But the motive was the poison in the well. David wasn't looking for a military advantage. He was looking for an idol. A numeric assurance that he no longer needed to walk by faith, but could stand on his own statistics. Even Joab, his battle-hardened commander, felt the weight of the error. He questioned it. He warned the king. "May the Lord multiply the people 100 times over," he pleaded. "But why does my lord the king want to do such a thing?" Joab saw what David refused to admit, that this wasn't about the security of the people, but about the inflation of the king's own ego. But David insisted. His word was law. Because when pride speaks, it sounds like logic. It masks fear as foresight and arrogance as duty. The decree was signed in stone. For 9 months and 20 days, the counters moved through the land like a slow-moving shadow. From the northern peaks of Dan to the southern wells of Beersheba, they measured the pulse of a nation. Every household visited, every fighting man identified. The calculation was thorough, leaving no room for the unknown, and no room for the miraculous. They counted the valiant men who could draw a sword. 800,000 in Israel, 500,000 in Judah, a formidable force by any human standard, a sea of potential power. The numbers came in, proof of strength, evidence of a legacy built on sweat and steel. For a moment, there was a flash of satisfaction in David's eyes. The count was complete. The king was secure. But then, the ticking stopped. The satisfaction dissolved into a cold, heavy realization that chilled him to the bone. Something else followed the numbers. Conviction. David's heart smote him. He realized what he had done, not just counting people, but shifting the bedrock of his trust. He had moved his foundation from the creator to the creature. He had traded the infinite protection of God for the finite security of an army. He had replaced the unseen presence of the Almighty with the calculated strength of men. And the cost was coming. God sent the prophet Gad with a choice that no man should ever have to make. 3 years of famine, 3 months of fleeing from enemies, or 3 days of plague. A weight that threatened to crush the crown. "Let us fall into the hands of the Lord," David said, "for his mercy is great." He chose the plague, preferring the judgment of God over the malice of men. And then came the consequence. Not random, not cruel, but devastatingly precise. A plague swept through the land he had just finished measuring, striking at the very heart of his pride. 70,000 men perished. From the very pool of strength he had boasted in, lives were extinguished like candles in a draught. What was once his pride became his deepest sorrow. The streets grew quiet. The bustling energy of a thriving kingdom was replaced by the heavy, suffocating shroud of mourning. The numbers he cherished were now being subtracted, one by one. This is where the story cuts deep, through the centuries and into our own lives. Because numbers are not the problem. Accuracy isn't a sin. Dependence is. When numbers become identity, they become idols. We count our followers, our bank balances, our years of experience. We seek the same numeric assurance that David sought. We build our own armies of data to shield us from the unknown. David didn't lose because he counted. He lost because he trusted what he counted. He forgot that the real power wasn't in the tally, but in the one who gave the increase. The one who holds the numbers in his hand. At the threshing floor of Araunah, mercy met judgment. David built an altar, and the plague was stayed. God's mercy is always greater than our mistakes, if we are willing to return to trust. And the question remains for us today, echoing through the halls of history. What are you trusting? Your provision or your provider? Your plans or the one who holds the future? Remember David. Until next time, walk by trust, not by sight. May your strength be found not in what you can count, but in the one who counts you as his own. Subscribe for more deep truths and stories of faith that challenge the soul. Share this story with someone who needs to be reminded where true strength lies. Thank you.